The spooky illuminated courtyard is the perfect way to enter into the island of Lockwood, but you better keep your eyes out. You never know who's about to be around the corner. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Liz, aka my Basil Pass, and I do a ton of cozy game content here on YouTube. Today we are doing our next speed build for my island of Lockwood. If you saw my last speed build that came out on Monday, we were working on the island entrance for this island. This is the courtyard, which is just behind it, so we're continuing that build a little bit. I do want to make a note, I did not realize that I was building at nighttime until after I finished the building portion of this video, and at the end I just did not have it in me to delete everything and then refilm it during the day, so I do apologize that the speed build is at night. I didn't realize it till the very end. But for this build, we're kind of creating a backdrop wall right now covering resident services. In the end, resident services is actually going to be surrounded by these cutout standees and the castle walls and medieval walls. So resident services will not be visible at all on this island. As cute as it is, especially in the fall time, it unfortunately does not necessarily work with how my island theme is going. So instead of trying to work around it, I decided to take the easy route out and completely hide it. Now, if you do want to visit this island through Dream Address when I eventually release it, you still will be able to. I'll make a little tiny secret entrance and exit through resident services. But for the most part, it's going to be completely hidden. Now, I am in love with these cutout standees. They're absolutely wonderful. I, however, did not make them myself. They were done by Blue Canary Crossing, and they're absolutely fantastic. So thank you to them for making this code that I didn't even know that I needed until now. If you saw my last stream from like a week or a week and a half ago, I tried to make a code fairly similar to this. Meaning, like, I tried to recreate the pattern of like the stonework in the castle walls and the castle towers onto a cutout standee or custom code to create like a wall effect. And then I gave up off stream and I decided, you know what, well, maybe someone has something similar to this. I googled it and I found their amazing codes and they look fantastic. There's no way I could have created something as amazing as this. So shout out to them for creating something that I didn't even know that I needed. Because it saved me hours of having to try to mess around with it. But I'm layering these cutout standees and the walls and the medieval buildings together to kind of create like this village wall effect of like homes going up alongside the hill. So we're using the standees in front of the medieval building walls on the second story, and then the standees in front of the castle walls on the third story, just to kind of create that effect of there being like some form of housing in front of the castle wall. And then the very bottom we have more standees, so it almost has like this building effect that just kind of goes up, if that makes sense. And I kind of use this all the way around resident services. I don't show that in this video because I don't think you want to see me placing the same items over and over again for a couple hours to cover resident services. I just do it for this courtyard, but I kind of use the same effect all the way around. So at the end, when this island is completely done, you won't even know resident services there unless you see this video, and then you'll totally know exactly where resident services is. But I had a little bit of issue in some places with the spacing of it, trying to figure out, okay, where am I placing the standees and where am I placing the towers and the walls, because I wanted to break it up a little bit so it's not just a flat line. So I added in some of the castle towers here and there with some Nova lights on top. I was debating between using the Nova lights or the golden candelabra sticks or candlesticks, whatever you want to call it. I ended up going with Nova lights just to something different because I'm using all of the candlesticks on the exterior of the towers. And now comes everyone's favorite part, adding the pathing underneath the simple panels. I actually remember to do it this time. You all should be very proud of me. If you've seen some of my past builds, you know the struggle. You know the struggle of you just get in the zone of building and you start placing items and you forget that you had to put paths underneath it, and then you have to question whether or not you want to go back and fix the path and delete everything you just built, or if you're just going to go with it and not have the path. But I will say I'm proud of myself that I actually remembered to place the path down before I put the standees on top, because knowing me, I would have just been like, it happened, it's gone. But we've got the path done and we're finally getting close to finishing that little wall section. It looks really cool at the end, especially when it's covered. I know at the bottom it looks kind of awkward because you can see the little cutout area and you can see the cliffside, but when it's fully decorated in front, then you can't see as much of it. I knew I wanted the fountain to be the centerpiece for this courtyard, so I'm kind of creating the pathway around it, branching to the left and to the right, where I'm going to have little holes in my castle wall so that we can walk through it. But this path was actually inspired by April Honey. They created this path. I found it online, but in a different color, and I didn't know that they actually made it in another color. So I recolored it. So shout out to them for inspiring me to do a recreation of the path that they made. I will also have all of April's information down in the description below as well. If you want to go check out them, as well as their original code, I will have that in the description. Actually, you know what? I'll put it on screen here as well. So if you want to see the codes that this darker version came from, you can check that out as well. But we're kind of just adding in the brick and the leaves. I'm doing it in a very slow way here. Towards the end of the island, I find a technique which is much easier, which is just covering everything in the bricks or the path that I need, and then going in afterwards and adding the leaves, instead of trying to figure out, okay, where can I place a leaf here and something else here? Like I find a method that goes much faster and much easier as time goes by. And yes, at the point of me recording this, I am about 80% done with this island. This is the fastest I have ever made an island. If you saw me working on my last island, Coral Cove, that took me about 2 to 3 months, give or take, to work on, because I did have to take some time off for like conventions and family stuff and whatnot. This island, I literally started about a week ago. Not even. I'm filming this on a Sunday. I started on a Wednesday. So it's not even been a full week and I'm already 80% done this island. I have been like non-stop building on this island because I'm actually inspired to do it. So this island will probably be done in the next few weeks and I can release the DA at that point in time. But this is the fastest I have ever made an island, and it's kind of weird because I'm actually inspired to do it, and we need my villager to get, I think that's Angus? No, it's not. Who's that villager? Let me know in the comments what villager that was, because I don't think that was Angus. Maybe it was. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm very wrong. It wasn't Angus. Someone let me know in the comments who that villager actually was, because I don't know anymore. But at this point, we're just working on clearing off this area. I'm going to have a lot of the castle walls divide sections of the island up, especially at the beginning before it kind of opens up a little bit more later on. And of course, I need to have at least a few trees, even in a courtyard, going around all of the different, the words. I can English. I know how to English. But my brain is not letting me English today for some reason. Around the courtyard, that's what I'm looking for. So we're placing a few of the trees, and of course, I'm always messing up where I'm gonna place what tree where. But you know what? That's okay. I want it to be somewhat even, and trying to figure out, okay, where is this across from here? I had to go back a few times to figure out, and I think I got it in the end. I think they're even. And now the actual fun part gets started. It's time to actually do the decorating. I don't know about you guys, but for me, placing the items and the paths to outline the area that I'm building is the most tedious part, because in my mind, all I'm thinking is what I want the build to look like at the end. And I'm so impatient. Also, I just noticed that's when Sheena walked into the top right corner of this build, because as you will see later, they got stuck back there and I wanted to play something and I got in like a little argument with them. But I see that that's where they are now and they're going to end up being stuck in that area in a little bit. But we're adding some of these tall lanterns. We're also going to add some seating around so you can sit by the water fountains, have some fun. Of course, I had to use the covered wagon, another item that I don't use very often, but I'm really excited that I actually got to use it this time in this build because I think it's super cute and I wish I could use it more often. But right now, the way I decorate is I place the biggest items first, or like the major items. So I know in the centerpiece, I wanted the fountain, I wanted the chairs, and I wanted the lanterns. So I always place those first so I know that I have the most room for it. And this is where it gets fun. If you all saw Monday's video, I challenged you all to count how many pumpkins there are in these builds. Well, here comes challenge number 2. I would love to see if anyone can count or even guess the correct number of pumpkins I have placed down by the end of this build. Granted, you could go along and count as I place things to make it easier, but I think it'd be cool if someone just like took a random guess and we'll see who gets the closest to it, because this is a lot of pumpkins, and I will admit it. I did a poll asking if there could ever possibly be too many pumpkins, and some of you said no, but a few of you said yes. And to those that said yes, I'm sorry in advance for this island. Because when I say there are a lot of pumpkins, there is a lot of pumpkins. I think I had to go back and forth and get more pumpkins more times than any other item for this build, specifically in this area, because I underestimated the amount of pumpkins I wanted to place. And then it got into a, oh my gosh, pumpkins are glowy mindset. And then that's the only item that I wanted to place that was glowy. So I kept placing more and more pumpkins everywhere until it was just, there were pumpkins all over the place. So by the end of this build, it looks like a pumpkin patch exploded into a courtyard. But at the same time, I kind of love it because it's a lot of pumpkins and I like Halloween and pumpkins are very cool. I even managed to place in a giant pumpkin carriage. I don't know why I wanted a carriage in this build, but it was a giant pumpkin and I thought that it just fit because you know what? It's pumpkins. Maybe I should call this island Pumpkin Core because of all the pumpkins. Have I created a new core for Animal Crossing? Is Pumpkin Core now a thing? Have I started something new? I really hope so. I think it'd be cool if I started something new. Just Pumpkin Core. Everything pumpkins. I also tried, because I used so many big items, it became really difficult to try to figure out where I wanted to place what. Especially the spooky trees. They have such a large border on them that it's really hard to place tiny items next to them. I'd love to place tiny little jack-o'-lanterns underneath it, but unfortunately the game said no. And this is what I mean when I say I got in a fight with Shino, because they just wanted to place some mushrooms back there and Shino was not leaving, and I thought that maybe I could sneak around them and push them out. Did not work. They did not want to leave. Eventually they left and it was fine. But Shino was trapped in there a little bit because I wouldn't let them out because I wanted to keep placing pumpkins. But you know what? That's okay. Like all the pumpkins, as I am currently recording this, I'm realizing how many pumpkins I actually have. And it's a lot, but at the same time, I love it. I did change a few things. I added the little lights here in front of, or to be behind the carriage, and I actually really like it. I think it's cute. As many glowing items as I possibly could fit in one area is what I went with on this item. And this is the build that caused my Switch to lag. I am building this on my old Switch, not my new one, so it already had like some issues. It sounds like a fighter jet plane when it starts up. But this build in particular caused my Switch to lag. So anytime I enter or I leave through the airport, I have to just wait a few minutes because as soon as I get to the courtyard, if everything isn't loaded in, it'll like lag my Switch very, very badly as items start popping in. And I think that is because of the amount of pumpkins I have, because it is a lot of pumpkins. But you know what? That's okay. There'll be more pumpkins later on. But here we are going from our entrance into the courtyard, and look at all of those pumpkins. It is absolutely wonderful. It's so glowy, it's so spooky, and Halloween-esque. I absolutely love it. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it. If you did enjoy it and you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button, because I post all the time. But thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!